Welcome to my walk. Thanks for joining me. I hope everyone's having a nourishing holidays. I know for me, holidays are always really tricky. My wife has to remind me every holidays that I usually go kind of crazy. I suppose some of that has to do with just the nature of what a holiday is, and especially Christmas and New Year's are so intensely temporal, a temporal sense of beginnings and ends, right? They have such meaning just inherently. So this period of time is just so concentrated in meaning in which it gathers. And what that means, right, is, for most people, that your families, the way Christmas and New Year's gathers is through gathering the family. And depending on what kind of family you have, that can look a lot of different ways. And given what was going on with my family, with addictions and all that stuff, I have usually Christmas and New Year's were usually some of the most hurtful times, some of the most traumatic times, right? Kinds of, betrayals and catastrophes, and the places where, the whole universe lost its ground and turned upside down, and malevolence and hurt and all that stuff, right? Since as long as far back as I can remember. It always happened around, like a lot of that stuff would be concentrated around the holidays. So when I experience these holidays, there is a sense in which I feel its meaningfulness on one level, but then I'll have just waves of like an anchoring sense of dread where all of a sudden the whole universe looks upside down in this kind of, in some kind of primordial way. And so it's been interesting this year to be aware of that and just kind of let it happen and be as welcoming of it as possible, which is difficult, because the nature of dread, especially kind of existential dread, is the dread itself kind of swallows up all the horizons, right? So everything that would give meaning to your perspective on how it is given by this dreadfulness, right? So it's not easy to just find that which one could observe it openly. However you can, right? And to whatever degree I've been able to do that somewhat this year. And in that, I find myself feeling as though I'm starting to have a sense of touching on, in particular, the current moment that we're in, the time that we're in. Not that I know or can make any kind of claim that I know what's happening, or I know in some precise way, or understand the time we're in. However, how it occurs for me is that it's not that we're in a unique or strange time. Like, there's time, and then there's the stuff in time that is organized in a strange way. But rather, the time itself is strange. There's an estranging quality to like the substance of time itself, it feels to me. And so over this holidays, I've been noticing just a sense of, just this sense of, as I look at this time as an actual changing into a different kind of time. And precisely that the time maybe that we are in, the West, is ending. In such a way that it's ending with either it has ended or it is ending, and it definitely isn't clear what the next time is. So one is ending without the new one, the next time, if there is a next time, isn't disclosed. And when I think about it like that, and I have thought about it like that, but I've mostly felt it like that, it's when I have those feelings and have those thoughts about, yeah, we are in like a miraculous moment, right, where we get to be witness to time itself changing. It's really quite incredible on one level. And I guess the question I am also finding myself having is, in what way how does one best witness it, right? What is it to be the clearing for the ending of a complete mode of intelligibility called the West? How does one actually witness that? How does one respond? Not that witnessing isn't already a response, but how does one witness and perhaps even respond to it, right? Chris and I talked about this. I think it was yesterday or the day before. And it's a really intense conversation because it's a really intense topic, right? And so there's something about the existential dread and opening to that's afforded me to feel, at least I think my experience of feeling, perhaps an inkling of what we may be inside of. And I think that one of the things I've also noticed is in these conversations, you could say the eternal conversation, right? The infinite conversation. The conversations of conversations, right? To whatever degree the conversations I've been having have touched in on that bigger conversation. My sense of it is now more than ever the sense in which the ultimate ground of things, the ultimate horizon of things, seems to me to be ineffable. And that is probably good. Right? That, in other words, that the ultimate ground, if you call it God or being or whatever the various names that we can have for that, but whatever that sense in which that which is deepest, highest, most determinate, the understanding of whatever that is, of course, is what gives the particular epoch that you're in, and that gives the way the world occurs. And when that changes, the understanding of that changes, it shows up in every level of being. It shows up in our reflexes, in our architecture, and the way we sneeze. What occurs for us as a thought, what we don't know and what we do know and what that means. And so it's not obvious, right? It's not obvious. What that deep sense of the understanding of being, if you will, what that is in the time that you're in. You can almost guarantee you don't see it. Yet, I think you can start to get glimpses of it. You can get glimpses of it. It's precisely in how concealed it is to you. You can kind of, in a sense, you can start to, in a sense, reveal it without unconcealing it. You can reveal what is non-apparent without making it apparent. And in some sense, that's preservative of the actual truth of it, because so much is withdrawn, man. So much of what gives sense is so eaten up. It's so closed, right? In ways that, God, people don't even notice, you know? It's become normal. But there's a profound ending, I think, that's happening, and a forgetfulness of that ending. And I think it has a lot to do with the hyper technologization of everything, right? As the one mode of revealing. And so now in this time, it seems to me that seeing our time, seeing its withdrawal, seeing its abandonment, if you will, is in some sense being with it. And that ultimate, the highest, that deepest, that it abide as ineffable, that it be something that's beyond comprehension, that it be something that that one could desire from their deepest being to yearn for, and yearn for what it can't ever have, which is the full comprehension and disclosure of it, right? In other words, maybe the ground of all sense, or the opening upon which grants sense, it would seem wise or true or good that it be something that could not be grasped by me. So in a certain sense, to be who one is as a clearing or a site of existence is to, in some way, what do we mean when we, right, to be a true human being is to let ourselves to be claimed by being. How do we see that? How do we understand that? Have a good evening.